Shravanam Diaries podcast.
Hare Krishna everyone, we're continuing Bhagavad Gita as it is, the book by His Divine Grace, Abhayacharanaravindra Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Chapter 10, The Opulence of the Absolute, Text 20. Yesterday we stopped in the beginning of the purport to text 20, so we're going to continue from there. Thus, this address by Krishna to Arjuna is significant. How did he address him? Gudakesh, the one who has conquered sleep. Because Arjuna is above such darkness, the personality of Godhead agrees to describe his various opulences. Krishna first informs Arjuna that he is the soul of the entire cosmic manifestation by dint of his primary expansion. Before the material creation, the Supreme Lord, by his plenary expansion, accepts the Purusha incarnation, and from him everything begins. Therefore, he is Atma, the soul of the Mahatattva, the universal elements. The total material energy is not the cause of the creation. Actually, the Mahavishnu enters into the Mahatattva, the total material energy. He is the soul. When Mahavishnu enters into the manifested universes, he again manifests himself as a super soul in each and every living entity. So when Mahavishnu enters the total material energy, he becomes Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. When he enters into as a super soul, he becomes Kshiradakashaya Vishnu. So he again manifests himself as the super soul in each and every living entity. So all of us have Kshiradakashaya Vishnu there in our hearts. We have experienced that the personal body of the living entity exists due to the presence of the spiritual spark. Without the existence of the spiritual spark, the body cannot develop. Similarly, the material manifestation cannot develop unless the Supreme Soul, Krishna, enters. As stated in the Subala Upanishad, Prakrityadi Sarva Bhutantar Yami Sarva Sheshi Cha Narayana. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is existing as the Super Soul in all manifested universes. The three Purusha Avataras are described in Srimad Bhagavatam. They are also described in Sattvata Tantra. Vishnostu Trini Rupani Purusha Kyanyato Vidu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests three features as Karanadakashaya Vishnu, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, and Kshiradakashaya Vishnu in this material manifestation. The Mahavishnu or Karanadakashaya Vishnu is described in the Brahma Samhita 5.47. Yakara Naranavajale Bhajatisma Yoga Nidram. Yakara Naranavajale Bhajatisma Yoga Nidram. Okay, it doesn't work. Okay. The Supreme Lord Krishna, the cause of all causes, lies down in the cosmic ocean as Mahavishnu. And therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the beginning of this universe, the maintainer of the universal affairs, universal manifestations, and the end of all energy. I know one Mataji, her name is Vamshipriya. She has two sons, Vishnujan and Mahavishnu. And it's very interesting, like Vishnujan, okay, Mahavishnu. Like my mom, she used to say that there was one devotee, Sanatana Rupa Prabhu, and he would always tell my mom, it's so wonderful when kids have devotional names, so that you would always chant the holy name, like your son's name is Gauranga, and you always chant Gauranga, Gauranga. And my mom was like, well, it's more like Gauranga, like angrily. It's like, where are you? He was small, he was like a naughty kid. And it's like, Mahavishnu. Yeah, the devotee mothers, they're blessed. Yeah. Okay, text 21. Adityanamaham Vishnurjyotisham Raviram Shuman Marichir Marutamasmi Nakshatranamaham Shashi. Jyoti. Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Maruts, I am Marichi. And among the stars, I am the moon. Purport. There are 12 Adityas, of which Krishna is the principal. Among all luminaries shining in the sky, the sun is the chief. And in the Brahma Samhita, the sun is accepted as the glowing eye of the Supreme Lord. There are 50 varieties of wind blowing in space, and of these winds, the controlling deity, Marichi, represents Krishna. Among the stars, the moon is the most prominent at night, and thus the moon represents Krishna. It appears from this verse that the moon is one of the stars. Therefore, the stars that twinkle in the sky also reflect the light of the sun. The theory that there are many suns within the universe is not accepted by Vedic literature. The sun is one. And as by the reflection of the sun, the moon illuminates, so also do the stars. Since Bhagavad Gita indicates herein that the moon is one of the stars, the twinkling stars are not suns, but are similar to the moon. I pray for the day when theoretical physics will learn this, and waiting for the TUVP to crush their theories which are not true and establish the supreme truth. Yep. Text 22. Vedanam sama vedosmi devanam asmi vasava indriyanam manaschasmi bhutanam asmi chaitana. Of the Vedas, I am the Sama Veda. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I am the mind. And in living beings, I am the living force, consciousness. So Bhutanam, of all the living entities, Asmi Chaitana, I am the living force. So Cheto Darpanamarjanam. When we say Cheto Darpanamarjanam, we're cleaning the mirror of consciousness, right? So that mirror that's dusty, Cheta, Chitta. Okay, I hope I'm not messing everything up, but Cheta meaning the living force, and this is Krishna. Purport. The difference between matter and spirit is that matter has no consciousness like the living entity, and therefore this consciousness is supreme and eternal. Consciousness cannot be produced by a combination of matter. Text 23. Rudranam Shankarashchasmi Vitteshoya Ksharakshasam Vasunam Pavakashchasmi Meru Shikharinam Aham. Of all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. Of the Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am the Lord of Wealth, Kuvera. Of the Vasus, I am Fire, Agni. And of mountains, I am Meru. Purport. There are 11 Rudras, of whom Shankara, Lord Shiva, is prominent. Lord Shiva, right? He is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord in charge of the mode of ignorance in the universe. The leader of the Yakshas and Rakshasas is Kuvera, the master treasurer of the demigods, and he is a representation of the Supreme Lord. Meru is a mountain famed for its rich natural resources. Like, in Tajikistan, There's also some mountains, they're called Pamir. I mean, they're part of Himalayas, if I'm not mistaken. And my dad would say that if you would go up the temple, the ISKCON Tajikistan temple that used to be, but no more, you could see the mountains, you could see the pistachio trees, and when it would be the season, the pistachio trees would blossom, and it would be such a beautiful sight. So here it says, mountains are famed for rich natural resources. That's why, you can't plant mountains. Mountains are, it's either there or it's not there. Text 24. Purodhasam cha mukyam mam vidhi partha brihaspatim sena ninam aham skanda sarasam asmi sagara. Of priests, O Arjuna, know me to be a chief, Brihaspati. Of generals, I am Kartikeya, and of bodies of water, I am the ocean. Kartikeya! Purport. Indra is the chief demigod of the heavenly planets and is known as the king of the heavens. The planet on which he reigns is called Indraloka. Brihaspati is Indra's priest. And since Indra is the chief of all kings, Brihaspati is the chief of all priests. And as Indra is the chief of all kings, similarly Skanda, or Kartikeya, the son of Parvati and Lord Shiva, is the chief of all military commanders. And of all bodies of water, the ocean is the greatest. These representations of Krishna only give hints, giving hints of his greatness. Wonderful. Text 25. Maharshinam briguraham giram asmyekam aksharam yagyanam japa yagyosmi sthavaranam Himalaya. Of the great sages, I am Brigu. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names, Japa. And of immovable things, I am the Himalayas. Jai. Let me see realistically if I can. No, okay. Purport. Brahma, the first living creature within the universe, created several sons for the propagation of various kinds of species. Among these sons, Brigu is the most powerful sage. Of all the transcendental vibrations, Omkara, represents Krishna. Of all sacrifices, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the purest representation of Krishna. Sometimes animal sacrifices are recommended, but in the sacrifice of Hare Krishna, there is no question of violence. It is the simplest and the purest. Whatever is sublime in the worlds is a representation of Krishna. Therefore, the Himalayas, the greatest mountains in the world, also represent him. The mountain named Meru was mentioned in the previous verse, but Meru is sometimes movable, whereas the Himalayas are never movable. Thus, the Himalayas are greater than Meru. Right? So mountains could be movable before and then immovable they became. Text 26. Ashwata sarva vrikshanam devarshinam cha narada gandharvanam chitrarartha. Siddhanam Kapilo Muni. Of all trees I am the banyan tree, and of the sages among the demigods I am Narada. Of the Gandharvas I am Chitra Radha, and among perfected beings I am the sage Kapila. Purport. The banyan tree Ashwatha is one of the highest and most beautiful trees, and people in India often worship it as one of their daily morning rituals. Among the demigods, they also worship Narada, who is considered the greatest devotee in the universe. Some people consider Narada to be the transcendental journalist. Yeah. Thus, he is the representation of Krishna as a devotee. The Gandharva planet is filled with entities who sing beautifully, and among them the best singer is Chitra Radha. Among the perfect living entities, Kapila, the son of Devahuti, is a representative of Krishna. He is considered an incarnation of Krishna, and his philosophy is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Later on, another Kapila became famous, but his philosophy was atheistic. Thus, there's a gulf of difference between them. So, Kapila, the son of Devahuti, which canto was he describing all of the Sankhya signs to his mother, right? He was describing to his mother, and his mother is definitely a lady. So now, when people get puffed up and proud and misogynistous, and when they get anti-feminine, anti-women, and devotees never do that. Like, look at Bhakti Vikash Maharaj. He would always be so respectful to the ladies. He would never ever say something against, what the ladies do in their preaching or in their mission. He would never, because he knows Srimad Bhagavatam. Like, I've never seen, and I had some personal relationship also with him. So, just like that. And, honestly speaking, all of this so-called, there's two kinds of war going on, right? There is a war which is known as a world war, where different nations are fighting. And there is this thing called civil war, where the people within one country, they fight. And so I believe that for the past couple of years, there was some sort of a civil war in ISKCON, whether to, the ladies, if they can give Diksha, or they can't give Diksha, or whether they should give Diksha, or they should not give Diksha, and everything like that. And I know that I may be hanged for speaking about this publicly in the podcast, but everybody already knows that. And the only thing that I can say is that for me, everybody should take a stand. You can't also exist and pretend like the problem was never there, because the problem was there. And all I can say is that, look, before we establish what do ladies do, we have to first have some ladies around. What ladies are actually according to what ladies are meant to be. And similarly with men. Like Prabhupada said, perfect ladies and gentlemen, right? And the conclusion that they've come to, basically to allow it in some countries, not allow it in some other countries, it was the perfect conclusion. Because North American GBC, they understand that they are not in control of their people as much as India is in control of their people. They don't have the level of culture that India has. So I'm sorry, you can't destroy somebody else's culture. You can't destroy somebody else's years and years and years of tradition. Moreover, you can't belittle, indignify, make it irrelevant that somebody else other than somebody else may have some little more intelligence when it comes to culture, family, tradition, and understanding the subtle ways that Srila Prabhupada instructed his disciples how to carry on his mission, how not to spoil it completely. So, it's easy to boil milk. We were supposed to boil the milk, right? So milk is there on the stove, and we can't keep watering the milk, right? We're watering the seed of bhakti, and we're also watering the milk, watering down, because, make bhakti available, make bhakti available, make bhakti available. Bhakti is what? That you have to make it available. Who are you to make bhakti available? I didn't understand that. I've never understood that. Make bhakti available. It's like, what is bhakti? ICQ, that you're putting the status available, status unavailable. Bhakti is bhakti. Ladies are ladies, men are men, guru is guru, diksha is diksha. Define everything properly. And now we're reading that Kapila Dev, he is the representation of Krishna, and he instructed his mother. Read those instructions. Educate yourself. You'll be surprised what those instructions describe, right? What those instructions describe, you'll be surprised, you'll be amazed. And how Devahuti took it, how Devahuti served her husband, how she followed, she was submissive, how she understood the science, and how she carried on, and how she was taken care of. It's a miracle. It's like, I'll tell you honestly. So there's this joke. It's a Jewish joke. It says like this: American came and he was like, this and that happened, miracle happened. And then some other guy, I don't know, let's make it like British or something. He came and he also said some nonsense, and he said, this is a miracle, it's a miracle. And then the Jew, he came and he was like, you know what? It was Saturday, and I think they have Shabbat, right? What do you call it? When you're not supposed to work from like 3 to 5 or something. He's like, and I really wanted to do this thing, and it's Shabbat time, and I can't. And he's like, and then suddenly I prayed to God, and then I realized for everybody it's Saturday, for me it's Thursday. Miracle. So it's like a little bit similar with us and with Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, that Bhagavatam speaks very clearly, straightforwardly, and to the point about many things. And we're like, for everybody it's Saturday, and for me it's Thursday. Miracle, it's miracle. Hare Krishna. I'm not trying to, take sides and, establish somebody superior than the other. All I'm trying to do is be objective and just objectively say that, I'm sick and tired of conflicts, and we have a bigger problem at hand. There's 7 billion people on this planet, and we need to really boil the milk of our ISKCON society and establish educational systems in every temple. Otherwise, I have no idea where we're going as a society if education is not there. If we don't even read Bhagavad Gita, if we don't even read Srimad Bhagavatam, if we don't even know how to worship the deities, and we have to constantly import pujaris, and the only reason pujaris are imported is to get international visas and make money for their families. Hare Krishna, we have bigger problems at hand. And I don't think, who am I to even speak about it? I was born in this movement. I have some kind of right to consider it my home and my family. And I believe my family, they deserve the best. And they deserve for me to speak up. Because one time I was in the classroom with Rajendrananda Prabhu and Pankajangri Prabhu, and they were discussing very, very, I don't even remember what it was exactly, but it was something about the Jiva, the holy name, the power of the holy name. And suddenly I remembered something very relevant from Brihad Bhagavatamrita. And I didn't feel comfortable raising my hand because the discussion was going on among them and some senior devotees present in the audience. It was Russian Bhagavatam class. And then suddenly Panchajangi Prabhu and Rajendran Prabhu, they kind of discussed everything was fine. They were like, okay, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. They stood up, they started going, and then I approached them. And sometimes I do that, I mean, at least I did it at that time, that I don't ask questions during the class, but after the class I approach the speaker and I ask some question or I add some comment. So I approached Panchajangi Prabhu and Rajendra Nandana Prabhu and I told them that, this and this. It made sense from Brihad Bhagavatamrita when Gop Kumar, he was going through Brahmajyoti and he couldn't, at one point he became scared when he was, something to that effect. Panchajangi Prabhu looked at me as if I'm an idiot and he was like, why didn't you say it during the Bhagavatam class? Everybody would be benefited. And I was like, whoa, like I didn't expect that he would reply like that. And I was like, yeah, sure, next time, and that really is something that left a deep impression in me, that, wow, I didn't know that I was supposed to benefit anybody. I didn't know that I'm able to benefit anybody. But Panchajangi Prabhu, he said that to me. So I'm just, I don't know, when he left, it kind of made me so upset and angry, especially the circumstances, how he left. So, I'm a little bit, how to call it? I guess I'm still very much upset about it. That because of the pandemic, I believe that I could take advantage as much as I could of his association. Take advantage of his association. It sounds so like you. I couldn't be fortunate enough to have more of his association, more than what I've planned, or more than I couldn't take more of his association. That's the bottom line. All glories to Panchajangi Prabhu. And because actually, there are two brothers, right? Panchajangi Prabhu and Jananivas Prabhu, and mostly people, they're like Jananivas Prabhu and Panchajangi Prabhu. But for me, like, Panchajangi Prabhu has always been the, like, that person with whom, like, I could trust, I could open up, I could speak with him, and I could really get guidance and support. Yeah. Jai. Hare Krishna. So, tomorrow we shall read text number 27. And, yeah, wonderful. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. The book links, previous episodes timeline, and biography of the author can be found on shravanamdiaries.com. The link is in the description, and we shall see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare